Well, about 11% of global electricity demand is generated by about 500 nuclear reactors. Kenya plans to become a member of this exclusive club of 31 countries. Where are we? And what are the timelines? Joining us tonight to discuss matters nuclear energy is Engineer Collins Juma. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. Thank you so very much indeed, sir, for joining us. I mean, for more than a decade, Kenya has been talking about, becoming a member of nuclear generating countries in the world. What steps have we made so far?
Thank you. Thank you, Kimani. Allow me to start by saying that nuclear power plant is not just like any other power plant. It's totally different from the traditional generations sources that we have, like hydro, geothermal, wind, solar, and all that. So what happens in the nuclear world is that once you make a decision as a country, then you approach the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the UN agency, which is mandated by the UN to give guidelines and guide countries who wants to pursue what we call the peaceful uses of nuclear application. Okay, you asked about the preparation that we've made. So somewhere in 2011, we approached the IEA, and we were grouping in the dark that time, so we really didn't know what to expect from the agency, and the agency gave us what they call the milestone approach. And this milestone approach entails a lot of issues, or they call them the infrastructure issues. So I hope we don't confuse with the infrastructure here, or roads and all that.
Yeah.
So what are these infrastructure issues? They talk about environmental issues, they talk about siting issues, they talk about grid. They're all 19 of them.
19 of them.
19 of them. And then they are divided. They lead you now into a phasing program, which is called the phase approach. Phase 1, milestone 1, phase 2, milestone 2, and phase 3, milestone 3, which is now commissioning. So what we've done is that we looked at those issues and did a pre-feasibility study on where we needed to concentrate our efforts depending on the stage we were. And we did that for 3 years, the pre-feasibility study, after which we told them that, okay, this is what we've done as a country, then can we have a peer review? So in 2015, they sent the agency here to come and check what we've done, what they call the INIR mission, Integrated Nuclear Infrastructure Review Mission, which they do to any member state, because a nuclear accident here is a nuclear accident anywhere in the world. Yeah. And it affects business, big businesses. So they came and did a review with us and told us, okay, here is where you've excelled, and here is where we give you recommendations, and here is where we give suggestions on what to, because they tell you that we can't force you, it's a decision of the country, but we can give you guidelines. So the quick wins that we've done is that, first of all, we had to set an organization from the beginning, and that has been done. Organization is running. We had the quick wins like start the training of the personnel that you want to work in the nuclear power plant in the future, because the preparatory work that we are doing can take 15 to 20 years. We've done that, and we are moving very well with that training. Then we had to start a buy-in on tell people about nuclear, because if you talk about nuclear, people think of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then the bombs and all that.
And the Chernobyl.
And the Chernobyl, and the other one, 3 Mile Island. So we also started in a small way, depending on our capacity and resources we have, to try and educate people about the nuclear power plant that we like. We say, look, it's worked in 500 reactors around the world. It wouldn't be too much to have 1 or 2 here. So we've done that, and we are that one will continue until we commission the plant, and even when we are running the plant. The other issues that needed quick attention was legislation and regulatory issues, because we didn't have a nuclear law in this country, and we didn't have a regulator. What we had was a Radiation Protection Board, which actually was dealing with ionizing radiation, like the ones you have in hospitals and the one used in agriculture, in water and the industry, like the University of Nairobi and KEBS. So we've set up a regulator now. The Radiation Protection Act of 1982 has been repealed, and then now we have Nuclear Regulatory Act 2019, which has created the regulator.
The commission.
Yeah. In terms of siting, we did the preliminary studies during the pre-feasibility study and got so many sites, around 30, using what they call that time the exclusion criteria. But now we are trying to zero in on what we think could be the probable sites, and once you get the probable site, then you do detailed analysis of the sites, and then you can pinpoint that I have these 2-3 sites the way I can do the nuclear power plant.
When you look at you know, the 3 phases, you know, as outlined by the IEA.
Yes.
Where would you say we are? Are we at phase 1? Are we at phase 2 or phase 3?
Well, sometimes it's not even clear which phase you are in, because you find some of the activities you've done are in phase 2. Some of the activities that you are lacking behind or slightly behind are in phase 1. Phase 3 is a different thing. So you dance between phase 1 and phase 2. But I can say that we were supposed to have the follow-up review in March. Then COVID
the second review.
Yeah, the second one. Then COVID kicked in. And we planned it for November. And I can say that when they come here, they'll clearly tell us that we are in phase 2. Yeah.
We are in phase 2.
Yeah.
Tell me this. I mean, the news about Kenya venturing into the nuclear, or what you call civil nuclear space, you know, has been met with a lot of consternation. And a lot of people argue that, I mean, as a country, do we even have the capacity, you know, number 1, to manage nuclear waste, number 2, to manage a nuclear reactor in this country?
And a very genuine concern. And if you ask me whether we have the capacity now and the capability, I would clearly tell you no.
We do not have.
And that's why we talk of preparatory that takes 10, 15 to 20 years. And that's what started in 2011. We don't have the people that can operate the plant at the moment. And that's why we are training. We don't even have the money that can, as a government, or we don't have maybe that kind of money that we can put in that project. We have to look at other ways, other models around the world, how they've done it. You talked about the waste management. Waste management is one of the infrastructure issues, and you have to have a policy on how you want to deal with the waste management. But I would say that as plants evolve, like what we had in Chernobyl is not what we have in Baraka site in Saudi Arabia, in the Emirates. So waste management evolves as the technology evolves. So it's not it's not much of a worry, because depending on who the vendor is, you have to define your waste management policy on the way you want to, how you want to do it. So I would say that what would hold us is the trained personnel, public acceptance, and financing. Yeah,
those 3.
Yeah, waste management is technological. Yeah,
and from where you see it, or from where you stand, when can we say that now it's a proper time for us to have a nuclear reactor in this country?
When you've evaluated all the 19 infrastructure issues and you've gotten the confidence of the vendors, who are very few, that you are ready to do that, and you have to put yourself a target. You say 10, 15 years, we should be able to do this. But you know the way projects are run, project can shift depending on the kind of resources that you've put in place.
But the country was looking at, you know, when you look at Vision 2030, to talk about, you know, having electricity generated from nuclear reactors by the year 2030. We are 10 years to 2030.
Yeah.
Would that time frame be enough from where you start and from how you see things?
By the way, let me correct. The initial plan was that by the year 2020.
2020.
Yes, and we were talking about that. We were talking about that in 2008, and that's why I tell you when we went to the Atomic Energy Agency, they told us, oh, you guys, this is not possible unless you spend billions and billions trying to buy experts around the world. Then we change now to the tact of the milestone approach. But if you ask me, 2030, what our least cost power development says is 2036. Very feasible. 2030 is also feasible, but you'll have to do a lot of work. You burn your midnight oil.
Especially on training.
Yeah, on training, and then on the studies that you want to do, because Doing a detailed site characterization can take between 2 to 3 years. And then you say, this is what I have as the site. Construction, well, I know there are vendors who say 4, 5 years, but put yourself on the timeline of 7 years for the construction.
7 years.
Yeah. So 2030, assuming we run very fast from now, 3 years.
And running very fast for you means what?
Running very fast for me means that you have the resources to train people, you have the money to do the studies, and you have the money to conduct the stakeholder engagement and have people buy in. Yeah.
And all those are missing as we speak.
No, I'm not saying they're missing. They're being done, but in a smaller scale, depending on the resources.
In a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And the smaller the scale, the
longer the period
it will take.
Yeah.
So from where you sit,
yeah,
2036, what do we need to do to ensure that we join this league? And what financial resources are we looking at?
I think 2030, 2036, as I've said, is achievable. But the kind of financial resources that we are looking for, like if you want to do a site study, the last time we did a benchmarking with Saudi Arabia and Nigeria, it was 1.5 billion. But
USD? Or
no, Kenya shillings. Maybe it has scaled up, and depending on the site, because the site characteristic in Saudi Arabia could be different from here. Temperatures are different. So if you talk of 2 billion, you need 2 billion to do that.
You need to be.
Yeah, to do that study. Then if you want to do maybe technology assessment, might not be much. You might need some few 100 millions to do that. Then you want to acquire a site. You have to talk to the government, either what you call first acquisition, and then you'll spend some money on that. So if you give a budget of maybe 10 billion for that, then you would be ready now to invite the bids.
To invite the bids.
Yeah.
We are looking at constructing a 1,000 megawatts reactor. How much will that cost in today's market price?
Another difficult question to answer, because if I am talking of the Korean technology and I'm building in Korea, then it would be much cheaper in Korea than when I'm building in here. Or if
but now you're building here in Kenya.
Yes, yeah. So I would give you the price of what it would cost, like in the United Arab Emirates. 1,000 would cost between 5 to 6, 7 billion USD.
USD.
Yeah.
That's 700.
Yeah, that's 700. Yeah.
Billion Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
And that is in UAE.
In UAE.
Where the infrastructure development of roads, power, and sewer lines is a bit developed than here than where we are.
What they've just completed at that time was 4.8, and they started this thing 9 years ago. So if you talk of the price now, you have to scale it up. So I talk even of 500 billion USD, but don't look at it that much, because you are talking about 1,000 megawatt plant, which will run for 80 years and has almost 98% availability. So crack those numbers and you see whether you're getting value for your 500 billion or not. If you exploit 100% of your geothermal, extend your...
The 18,000 megawatts?
Yes. Extend your hydros, few hundreds.
Solar is infinite.
No. Solar and wind are not in this discussion. Why? Because if you are talking of a coal smelting plant in Meru or steel, then you are talking of baseload generation. So you push coal and wind and solar out of this discussion. So you say, what can I get from baseload generation? Then you say, maybe it's only gas or nuclear or geothermal. Okay, you've exhausted your geothermal. Where do you go to? And I think that time there was an old man from Korea and Malaysia, and they said, for Korea, nuclear has worked for us very well, but it takes time to develop and takes money. Why don't we start thinking about nuclear now so that we can use it in the year 2030? And that's how the discussion came on the table.
Do you think the thoughts then are valid today?
If we are still pursuing Vision 2030, they're valid.
And do you think
if we are not, then we have to rethink.
Look, the total generated power in this country We are talking about 2,700 megawatts.
Yes.
You're talking about geothermal having a potential of about 18,000 megawatts.
Yes.
So, plus what we have, we'll talk about 20,000 megawatts.
Yes.
We haven't talked about hydro. We haven't talked about what we are
Hydro,
generating.
we can't get much, yeah. We can't get much. But what I've said, I don't want to say beyond Vision 20. If we are still having the vision for 2030, the dream is valid.
The dream is valid.
But if and only if we've changed because of our GDP, then we can rethink. If we want to get industrialized and we need stable energy, you have to think of nuclear.
You must think about it.
You must think about it. And we are not the only country.
Actually, in Africa, there are about 10 countries that are pursuing nuclear energy.
Yes.
And on the
seriously, almost all of them, but seriously, it's around 10.
Is around 10.
Yeah.
And the only country that has some level of expertise in nuclear energy management is South Africa.
Precisely.
What do we have to learn from them?
Yeah, what they've gone through, we really have to learn from them because they didn't expand their nuclear and they concentrated on coal. Now with coal having a capping and also delayed projects in coal, they're having the same problems that we had in 1998, 1996, 1998. But you know, they've woken up. They want to do additional 9 reactors. Why? Because now they want to mitigate the climate change and they want to stabilize their generation now that they're reducing on coal.
And they're having funding challenges.
And they're having funding challenges, but those ones they can sort out.
And they are working with the Russians.
Well, I won't say they are working with the Russians. I think Russia was one of the bidders. No. Russia was one of the bidders for the 9,000 megawatts.
And it was given the tender.
No, it wasn't.
What happened?
Well, they had their own politics also on the tenders, so it was shelved.
Have we settled on working with China to help us develop nuclear energy, or who are we working with in this?
We've not settled on anyone.
Are we targeting anyone?
We are targeting all of them, but depending on which technology the study will come out that this is what is suitable for us and this is the cost.
So far from where you sit?
Yep.
Have you analyzed that information?
We are doing that now. We are doing what we call technology assessment. Yeah.
It is leaning towards where? East or west?
No, it has not started leaning yet. It has not started leaning. It has not started leaning yet.
Look here. Yeah. We are discussing nuclear energy in the studio with Engineer Collins.
Yes.
Juma.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
You've asked me whether we've leaned to any of the vendors.
East or west?
No, we've not. But what we've done, we've signed what we call capacity building issues, MOU on capacity building, cross-cutting issues. Safety is safety, whether you're using the Russian technology, the Chinese, the EDF of France, or you're using Korea or
the American
America.
Technology.
Safety is safety. Security and safeguard is the same. No one wants to the material to land on the wrong hands. So that one, the training you get will be the same. But when it comes to the technology, and you pick this, I want AP 1400, then you have to bring in a simulator towards that. It would be so expensive to train people on a Chinese technology, then you go and buy Russian. That's why we are being very careful on that.
You have hired the Chinese to do the site characterization?
We have not. They did the terms of reference for the study.
For the study?
Yeah.
Have you picked a company for the site characterization?
No, we've not even advertised.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
When do you plan to do this?
When we get the money. Because
we don't
get in the budget yet. When we get the money.
Everything boils down to money here.
Of course, yeah. When we get the budget allocation for that, and we almost got it.
We almost
got it because we had put a case to Treasury. Well, some few things, we didn't get the money, but we are hoping in the next financial year, we should be able to get the money that we can start with. Because, you know, it's against the procurement rule that you can't advertise for a tender that you don't have the money to execute.
I read somewhere in the media that this could be true or wrong.
Yeah.
That you guide us. That you're either targeting Tana River County, Turkana County, or some counties around the western part of this country. How farther from the truth is this?
Nothing can be further from the truth. But the truth is that there were some of the candidate sites I told you we had 29 sites. Western, around Tana River, and coast. We are yet to do a study and say that this is the site and this is the alternate site.
That is yet to happen.
It has not happened.
But there are some of the candidates on the table.
Well, in terms of areas, we have coast, we have Tana River, we have Lake Victoria. Yeah. Now we have to start evaluating so many things. If you want a 1,000 megawatt plant, transporting the reactor core alone from Mombasa to Lake Victoria, you'll have to reinforce all these bridges, otherwise they'll break. You can't fly it. So those are some of the things that you really
have to be readjusted.
Yeah. You have to think of, okay, unless I'm going for a small reactor, I can maybe transport by hauler and all that, then I can now increase my frequency in doing the study in that area. But if I want this, so you have to also do this technology assessment, say, which one do I want? Then if you say 1,000 big ones, I don't know whether you've seen one, then maybe the hinterland is out.
Is out.
Transport. So you want now to start thinking that, let me consider around the lake where they can bring it, and most of them are actually along the big oceans. Yeah.
There were discussions that after various evaluations, Lamu was becoming the most appealing site to have a nuclear reactor in this country.
Well, I don't know about the study for nuclear for Lamu, but I certainly know them about for coal plant.
Well, forget about the Lamu power plant.
Yeah.
Lamu, because of its nearness to the ocean, it was being touted as one of the contenders for the site of Kenya's first nuclear reactor. Is this thought still entertained?
That one I may not affirm, because I said coastal region. There's an area. Yeah. Whether Lamu is part of it, I cannot say yes or no. But I know we have the sites along the coast, along Lake Victoria and along Tana River. And I'm telling you that if we were to consider big reactors, then coast turns out to be one of the possible candidates.
And of course, talking about 1,000 megawatts, that's a big reactor.
It's a big reactor, no. But we've not closed in on that yet, because they are what we call the small modular reactors. That's why I'm telling you that the study will bring out. Do we want to bring, like Koreans are doing the smart reactor of 120 megawatts. Do you want 120 to make you 1,000? Very flexible. You can put one.
So you put multiple reactors.
Yeah, you put multiple reactors. So those ones also can determine the site. Yeah.
And when you're talking about nuclear energy in Kenya, I mean, one might think that you're talking about a different Kenya altogether from the Kenya that we know.
Yeah.
Collins, and there was a time that you appeared before, Parliament.
Yeah.
To shed light about, more light about, nuclear energy and that. And I remember some of your words were things that we must become more astute as a country. Our management of things. We must deal with issues of corruption. Because as you put it here, a nuclear accident here
everywhere
is a nuclear accident in the world. What exactly did you mean?
But let me go back to before I answer that, let me go back to the Kenya, which wants the nuclear, and the Kenya we know. Vision 2030 envisaged that by that time, the Republic of Kenya will be like Malaysia, Singapore, and the likes. We talk about that every day. And we were assuming that time, by the year we reach 2030, and still it's my dream that that's what it will be, things like waste management, because people ask me, if we can't collect garbage, how about nuclear waste? And I tell them, I thought by the time we reach Malaysia or Singapore, waste would not be a problem in these countries. So we should not look at ourselves at that time. We should look at ourselves then. Then in that case, we are able to handle what we think we can't handle now. But if we can't reach that stage that we anticipate in the year 2030, then the scenario is different. Now you ask something about nuclear accident here and nuclear accident anywhere. These people, the vendors, some of them are government owned. they don't want to spoil their own name, because if we have a nuclear accident here, then we check at the reference plants. Where are they in the world? They say one is in South Africa, one is in Belarus, one is in one is in Bangladesh. Say, shut them down for inspection.
There will be domino effects.
Yes, because there's a reactor EP 1400 which has just had an accident. The businessmen don't want that. Vendor countries also don't want that. So if they are sure that you can't handle it, I can assure you, Maina, they'll not give you nuclear.
So it's not just a question of Kenya being ready.
The vendor being satisfied also.
That you are ready.
And the agency also being satisfied to whisper to the vendor that they can handle it. And I said from the beginning of this, nuclear power plant is not a hydro. It's not. Nuclear has its owners who want to protect it.
Tell me this.
Yeah.
And you are quoting Vision 2030, quite a beautiful document, you know, by all standards.
Yeah.
And we are talking about 10 years to go.
Yeah.
Before we become the South Korea of Africa, the Singapore of Africa.
Yeah.
When you look at where we are, and where we need to be in the year 2030, and what we need to do by then, do you think we can get there, in your honest opinion?
I think I would only talk as per my mandate to develop nuclear for Vision 2030. But they have a secretariat. They
in terms of nuclear energy, I mean, you see, the two, they move in tandem.
In tandem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nuclear energy was pegged on
Vision 2030.
On Vision 2030.
Yeah.
And from where you sit, you cannot disentangle the two.
Yes.
For you to have nuclear energy, you need Vision 2030.
Yes.
For you to have Vision 2030, you need nuclear energy on the table.
Yes.
So the two must move in tandem.
Yes.
And that's why I'm posing the question.
And I'm working with the target that by the year 2030, we'll have the demand that was envisaged in the East Coast Power Development Plan.
But you're not working in vacuum.
We are not working in vacuum. Yeah, we are not working in vacuum.
And you're not working alone.
Let the industry do their part.
Are you guided by the industry? Or are you the one guiding the industry?
No, we are not. You know, when it comes to energy, it's like the chicken and the egg. Do I bring energy to Kenya to bring the industries? Or do I bring industry, then I have the demand? So it's something that you really have to juggle.
Well, in the case of Kenya, we are sometimes finding ourselves with so much energy with no demand.
I think also they would debate that, whether, because I don't think our spinning reserve is that big. I don't think so. Because if you look at the suppressed demand in the villages because of the infrastructure issues, then you find that had we connected those people, we have the highway, then we'd have a bigger demand. But I think that's an argument for another arm of the government to do that.
Because we have to wind up.
Yeah.
I still want to go back to that question. Even as you continue to explore the options of having nuclear energy in this country, when you look at the other sectors, or what you would call the enablers, the pillars of Vision 2030, do you think they are moving in tandem with the direction that you have taken?
I think the dream is moving in tandem because we have the big four. We have manufacturing, we have housing, we have universal healthcare, we have, which one is the fourth one?
The food security.
Food security. If you take manufacturing, it's so big. If you take those projects in the Vision 2030, those all the parks and the smelting plant in Meru and all that, and the SGR, which was supposed to use electricity, and we do that.
supposed to.
Yeah. Then you find that demand is there. So each sector should do their part so that we achieve that. But you can't say that the way this one is moving, I don't think they'll achieve that by Vision 2030 because you don't know the strategy that they have. Connecting SGR to electricity can take just a few months. Yeah. And having a light rail in Nairobi can take a few months, or it might be a year, and we have a light rail in Nairobi using electricity. You've seen Germans now. You saw Scania has connected the grid. The buses are moving on the grid in Germany.
That's Germany.
Yeah.
Welcome to Kenya.
Yeah.
Engineer, at that hearty laughter, we have to come to the end.
Thank you very much.
We wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Let's soldier on.
Let's do it together.
And let's hope that we achieve Vision 2030 and we have all the energy that we need.
It will be good for this country.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm hoping that you'll still be around. We'll discuss this come the year 2030.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Very good. We've been talking to Engineer Collins Juma. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Nuclear Power and Energy Agency. We've been discussing issues around nuclear energy. You have heard it all from him. My name is O'Brien Kimani. You have been watching Inside Government. Thank you for your time. We'll see you again on Thursday. Bye for now.